Hello, welcome. It is July 7th. Yeah, July 7th. This is the weekly outlook. We do this every week in the DeFi Dojo. I'm going to be posting this live on YouTube because it's the first Sunday of the new month of July. And everybody gets to see this right from the get-go. So if you want to see these every single week, you can click on the link in the description and join the server. Yeah, let's get into it. So, Bitcoin fell below the bear mode line that I had marked here, which was the previous cycle's 1.618 at the 62K mark. I said that if we fell below that, then we could see more downside, and that's exactly what we got. Last week, I thought we were going to hold this triangle here, which you see as the green line. We didn't. I thought we'd hold maybe the 886. We didn't. We keep breaking down below them, and we even keep coming back up to retest them and reject once again. So now we don't really have anything to support us until we get back down into this little green box around 50 to 51.5. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. You can see how fast price moves through here, and so we can expect the same way here. We're on the daily chart right now, so we could expect 3 days for it to bring us down there potentially. If there is any week for crypto to redeem itself, it is this week, and I'm going to show you why heading into the next series of charts. So if we look at total market cap, we do not have a bearish cross yet on these EMAs, so theoretically it is still possible to get a huge candle all the way back up and prevent them from crossing. I've seen this numerous times on lower time frames, and it happens on higher time frames as well. So this is the week for crypto to redeem itself. We are sitting on support. I do have a fib cluster here on total at the 2 trillion mark. It's also a psychological level, 2 trillion. Not that anybody's really looking at the total market cap and going, oh, we're at an even number, let's buy now. I don't think that's happening. But it's just kind of a psychology thing for people to buy the dip in a bull market. We definitely broke this trend, right? And since we broke that trend, we've been aiming downward. If we do not hold this fib cluster, and I'll zoom out just to show you how we got this. So basically, I've just taken the downtrend and measured that, and that gives me the top of the golden pocket here, and I'll erase that so you can see it clearer. But that gives you the top of the golden pocket right there at the 2 trillion mark. And then for the next fib cluster, I've just measured this uptrend because now we have a sort of top, so we can measure this whole thing now. And that gives us fib clusters right here with the downtrends 0.71 and then the uptrends 0.236. Now, strong trends bounce on 236s or 382s. So technically speaking, we could still come all the way down to this green box that I have mapped out here, which is where all this consolidation is. That would be the most extreme downside target I see. If we fail below that, then we're in a full-blown bear market and we're done. So this is kind of the area to hold if we want to stay in a bull market. But we could hold as high as this 236 as well and create a strong trend upwards to continue on to those bull market targets that we've been wanting to see happen. There's still a lot of time left this year. We got a half a year, and I don't think we top out until at least March of 2025 if we just go according to time and how cycles usually play out. But as you know, this cycle has kind of been different in every way. So for all we know, maybe that's it. Maybe this is all we get. I don't know. I don't see any bearish divergence happening anywhere, right? So here's a high, this is a higher high on the RSI. This is lower, so it's just convergence, right? It didn't go higher and give us a lower high on the RSI or the MACD. So I think we're just kind of taking a little breather here after such a major move, and I think we can find a base here and consolidate and then start moving back upwards again. And it might take a month or two. It might be a while. So don't go crazy buying dip after dip. I think we have time. After such a bearish move, it takes a while, right? They're going to suppress it. They're going to keep it low. It's going to consolidate somewhere, form a base, and then start moving higher again. So we're going to want to look for a Wyckoff accumulation maybe on the lower time frames, like the daily we'll start with, right? So we could have our first little pump there. Maybe we get another one flash for deeper, and we start kind of that process all over again of accumulation through these zones before we move up higher. If we look at total 3, Altcoins are just in the gutter. I don't recommend buying any of those at the moment. We could see as low as the bottom of the golden pocket again. You can see that we wicked down in there, shot back up, touched that 8 EMA on the daily, rejected back down today. So, and now we're starting off heading lower. I don't think we're going to see a bottom here yet. We could go as low as the 786 here, right around the 500 billion mark, which is another, psychological level. Just to show you how I got that, I just measured from this low here to this high, and I get these levels. If we look at Bitcoin or Ethereum, we've had Ethereum oversold now twice, right, on the daily. Let me get to the daily so you understand those circles. All right, so we had this falling wedge, a big bullish move, and we've retraced the entire move since that ETF announcement, right? Now we have oversold back here, which was in August, right? And now we are oversold on the daily once again for the first time since then. So if we're in a bull market, then it makes sense that you want to buy when we hit oversold on the daily, right? But you can definitely see that it took a very long time after we did that to consolidate before we headed back higher. And this is kind of what an accumulation zone looks like and what we might be wanting to see happen around in this golden pocket. We need to hold 2,500. If we don't hold 2,500, then we're in big trouble. And so we could see as low as that at the deep end and accumulate inside this golden pocket before we rise back up higher. If we look at ETH Bitcoin, we had a very bearish candle shoot us right back through the EMAs after crossing and retesting. I thought this could head up last week, and I was obviously wrong. I am fully able to admit when I am wrong, and that is the mark of a good trader. And so we just carry on from there. But now we're starting out underneath these EMAs. I want to see this make another move back up over this week. If we don't, then we can expect as low as that 0.05 mark once again. If we look at equities, we have the dollar made a nice bearish move down, broke the yearly uptrend, right? So we're now just opening on the 21 EMA. And I do expect this to maybe, come up and retest again, but I think this is going to start making its way lower back down towards this 382 around 104 once again. If we look at ES and NQ, so ES is in this rising wedge, and I've seen a lot of people posting this wedge. It is bearish when you have a rising wedge, and so this could help us, pinpoint a top. But I wouldn't short it until we break below the bottom of the wedge. A lot of people will try to short the top, and that's a bad idea. Why? Because you can see that we can hit a top and then go higher and higher and then, retrace and go higher into that wedge, and you're just chasing that high. It's much better to wait for a break down below. Also, if you look at NQ, it broke above its wedge, right? So that theory wouldn't have worked either, especially here. So now I think we can see as high as these 1.618s on both charts before we start getting a consolidation sideways, and then finally a rejection, at least back down to the bottom of the channel here. And that's this area here is probably where I'm going to start trying to scale into some swing shorts for the longer term. Same thing with ES around 58.48. I'll try to just wait for it to go sideways a bit at least. We'll probably get something, along the lines of this. You can see how many weeks it's stayed up here before finally coming down. And so we could get the same thing here where it kind of peaks above a little bit. And so maybe whenever it peaks above, scale into something that's like, a year out is how far I'm thinking on a put for ES. And I would probably try to aim somewhere around where the previous all-time high was. Somewhere around 4,800 would be like the long-term short that I would take, and this probably wouldn't happen until next year, where you'd finally be able to cash out. So you want to go at least to like 2026 maybe, as far as that goes. All right, if we look at Dow Jones, it's really struggling. We've had most of the market getting brought up by big tech, and most of all the other companies are either down and to the right or just sideways and stagnant. I do have a favorite play this week, and it's Penn, and I'll show you why. So if we go to most used, and you can see that we have this downtrend that it broke and then retested downwards a couple times, but now is breaking back up, and this could be crossing the 821 EMA is bullish here, and it might be a little premature. I've been a little early on my calls lately, like Dell. I was a little early on recently, but it ended up working out. And so we could have a little bit of time here. They're not quite crossed bullish just yet. And if you throw on the pivots, you can see that that S1 right at $20 is standing in the way. So if we get like a daily close over 20 bucks, then maybe that is our cue to try to take a long. And I would consider like a 21 call for like 2 months out and try to take it to this 23 mark, and then you'd be $2 in the money, and that should be a very nice profit if that works out. Stop loss would be around 18 bucks. So I think the upside is higher than the downside, and the risk to reward is great with that stop loss as well. All right, so we're going to go into the chart requests. If anybody has any questions, comments, I will take those now. Looking at Sol, if you want to see Sol, we have the 786 as support here at 123.40. If that breaks down, then you can expect these levels here. Draw a line on that top, draw a line on that top, and then these would be your next levels down if you wanted to try to short that. I'm still just going to kind of lay low. I really want to see total like really break down on this in order to really start shorting, and so we might be a little ways away from that. Typically after a big move like this, you don't get a whole lot of movement afterwards, so I think it might be best to wait so you don't get chopped up. All right, if there's no chart requests, going once, going twice, you guys know that you can always leave those chart requests in the chart request channel as well, and I will get to them. But if there are none this week, oh, somebody's typing TRX. All right, TRX. There's no Binance. There we go. So this one's usually pretty strong. It has been doing pretty well. I mean, the weekly's still bullish. I don't really like that doji candle there on the weekly. So this is probably going to at least come back down to the 0.71 around 12 cents or the 8 EMA. And you can see this is definitely downtrending, and I'd want to see a MACD cross back up in order to be really confident in a long. How many fibs do I have on this? Let's just start over. Okay, so we'll go there to there. So we hit the 786, sold off. So really, in order to be really bullish, we need to break that 786. And if you wanted to try it now, I'd wait for an 8 EMA tap around that 12147 mark, or 120 around the 0.71. Keep your stop loss just underneath this week's wick, which would be right there, around, just shy. Yeah. So you could try to take along there with your target being the 786 and your stop loss here, and that would create a pretty nice risk to reward. And then if you break down below that, then maybe if you want to take a short, if you break down below the 618 or the 68 here, and then keep your stop loss in the same spot and try to take it down to the 618, which it'll probably stop right here because of all that consolidation that's happening in that spot. TON. Let's see, TON. And where's like the regular Binance ones? Oh, I'm still hearing fireworks outside. So that is bearishly divergent. That is crossing the MACD on the weekly. I mean, this looks like a pretty decent short attempt that you could take here and just keep your stop somewhere around that candle's wick right there. So just above 7, is that 720? Yeah. So you could try a short, keep your stop just above 720, and try to take this down to the 21 EMA, which is really far percentage-wise. That's like 15%. So I mean, you could even have a little bit of a looser stop to keep that risk to reward nice and try to take that down. That MACD cross definitely looks like we're heading a little lower. All right, going once, going twice. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it, and I'll see you throughout the week in the server. Have a great week. Peace.